does it take to be a real champion, to overcome obstacles, both physical and mental? Well, these are some of the things we talk about with my very special guest on Health Coach Talk. Let me tell you just a little bit about my friend, Whitney Jones. I know you will be so inspired by listening to her and hearing about her story. Whitney Jones, she's a 3 times Miss Fitness Olympia champion, an Arnold Classic Miss Fitness International winner, known globally as a powerhouse in the fitness industry. As a professional athlete, best-selling author, fitness coach, motivational speaker, and entrepreneur, Whitney's journey is nothing short of inspiring. As a proud single mom, Whitney balances her roles as the owner of multiple businesses, including Unstoppable 365, Whitney Jones Productions, and Fearless by Whitney Jones Fitness Apparel. She also promotes 4 major fitness competitions: the NPC Whitney Jones Classic, NPC Arizona State Championships, the NPC WJ Natural Classic, and the Pro-Am Triple O Dynasty Show, making her a driving force in the IFBB and NPC communities. Whitney's passion for fitness began in her 30s when she competed in her first amateur show in Arizona. Within a year, she became an IFBB Fitness Pro and began competing on global stages from Brazil to South Africa. Her career highlights include 35 professional shows, 12 consecutive Fitness Olympia qualifications, and becoming the first mother to win the Fitness Olympia title. Whitney's story is a testament to perseverance, having overcoming a neck surgery that required a 12-piece metal cage and 18 surgeries throughout her career. Her win broken philosophy inspires people worldwide to embrace their challenges and turn obstacles into opportunities. In 2024, she co-launched Unstoppable 365, a transformative program that integrates fitness, nutrition, and mindset strategies to help clients unlock their potential. Whitney is also the author of her best-selling book, Win Broken, a raw and real guide to conquering life's toughest challenges. When she's not inspiring others, Whitney is dancing in her car, hunting for donuts, and making memories with her 2 teenage sons. Join us as we explore her journey, her philosophy, and what it truly means to be unstoppable. Welcome to Health Coach Talk. And today I am just thrilled to be with someone that I idolize, and that is Whitney Jones. And I've got her new book, hot off the press, Win Broken. Now, usually when we talk about winning, that's having that attitude of like, you being unbroken. But you are titling your book Win Broken. So can you share what that was about? Like, what does this mean to win broken? And I know a big part of this is your own personal story, which really you are unstoppable in terms of what you have been able to accomplish despite a lot of obstacles.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm honored to be part of this again, and I just adore you. I love everything you are about and how you bring health and fitness to your daily life. To answer your question, and I love that you already have the book in hand because it's still brand new. I mean, a very new launch. But basically, it's the concept that we're all a little broken. And once people realize that everyone is on the same page, but what truly sets those people apart who thrive in life and those who just survive are the ones that have actually mastered the art of winning broken. They've decided that life will not define them. They choose their own destiny. They embrace their brokenness and they find a way to overcome it. So, you know my story as an athlete. I'm a pro fitness athlete. I have broken, it seems like every bone in my body. I mean, literally almost to the T. I've had 18 surgeries. I'm part metal. I mean, I'm almost literally half robot. But I've had a lot of injuries that have kind of resulted in that title, Wind Broken. I became a 3-time world champion, 3-time Miss Fitness Olympia, and that is with everything broken in my body, but my mind was never broken. And not to say that it wasn't like that early on. I mean, just like everyone, I had some major life setbacks, but I decided that I didn't want that to be my life. I didn't want to just be a statistic with some of the stuff that, life handed me. So I decided to figure out a way to write my own legacy and choose the path of my life in business, in my personal life. I am a mom. I have 2 amazing teenage boys that I raised as a single mom, a business owner. I am a pro athlete. So, the thing was, there's so many things you could accomplish, but none of those things were what I envisioned for my future back in the day when I was dealing with some setbacks. So my goal with Wind Broken is to help inspire people as well as provide a blueprint on how do you overcome some of life's heavy setbacks. We can't control a lot of things that are handed to us in life. We can control how we respond. We can control how we view it as a lesson versus, looking at it from a victim mentality. And so my purpose and passion at this point in my life is to help lift others up and help them discover their greatness in what they have and their dreams, and quieting the noise and really focusing on what it is that you want to achieve in life, because there's always an option if you choose to view it that way.
I love this. And this philosophy, this is exactly what I was teaching many, many years ago as a psychologist. And it always bothered me that the emphasis was on being a victim. You're damaged, you get this diagnosis, and that defines you, and then it limits you.
Yeah.
And I would always, in fact, sometimes very strongly, encourage people to take what you are espousing, this view that you are in control, you can change your thoughts, then you change your emotions as a result, and you have now a new perspective, and you are seeing yourself in a different light. And so, no matter what happened to you in your past, you can plan for a better future.
Yeah.
And it is powerful, because I think when you have those beliefs, the act of thinking what you're just describing is creating a physiological impact that
Yeah.
is promoting healing. It's promoting anti-inflammatory responses, parasympathetic responses. And so you're creating your own destiny, as you're thinking this. Whereas if it's, oh, poor me, I'm damaged, I have to be in therapy for the rest of my life, I can't, and you are just beset with like all the things you can't do.
Yeah.
And I mean, so for our listeners, you have to see her feats in just what you are able to do in terms of physically, to that most people would say this is impossible,
Right.
especially with all the injuries that you have sustained. And I know you inspire me, and and I just keep going. At 75, I don't think about, oh, what's going to, this is dangerous for me to do a handstand, for example, but you could do triple flips and handstands.
The thing is, but I love it, right? So
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
75. Life doesn't need to limit us. Our mind is what truly is the catalyst to put forth. Are you able to achieve something? Are you going to put forth the effort? Obviously, having a strategic and safe plan is crucial to it, but it's believing in your mind that you can, and having that desire is the first step in going forward. So,
yes.
again, this is why I love every time I see you, you're glowing. Age is just a number, and you're doing stuff that people in their 30s aren't even tempting to do because, oh, it's too hard. I'm too old. What? Like,
Yeah.
really? I want to be 100 doing backflips still.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
possible, but hey, that's the goal. Let's do it.
Yes. Yeah, and so it is your mindset. But what would you say to people? And I hear this all the time amongst my contemporaries. oh, I can't go in the gym. I can't lift weights because I have osteoporosis. I have arthritis. I have bad knees. I had a hip replacement. And so, uh, what would you say to somebody who is holding themselves back by that?
It's a limiting belief, to be honest, because, and that's where I try to use myself as a perfect example. You know, when I had a torn ACL, I couldn't go for a jog or even a walk around the neighborhood. But guess what? My upper body was fine. I could do stuff. And so people think even cardio, oh, I can't do cardio when you have a lower body injury. Guess what? There's tons of cardio you can do upper body. They have arm bikes there. You can do boxing type stuff. You can do seated battle ropes. There is so much you can do. I think fear is a big part of that, you know, especially when people, you know, are worried, oh, I have osteoporosis. I don't want to injure myself. That's a very valid fear. However, you need to go into it safely. So people think, oh, I can't go into the gym and lift weights when they maybe have something like osteoporosis. Okay, so don't go lift weights. Start with your own body weight. There's so much you can do with your own body weight, even if it's doing lateral raises with your shoulder with no weights, just your arms. Heck, if you do 100 of those, you're going to be sore. So it's about taking that first step and not allowing yourself to find an excuse. Because if our brains allow us to find an excuse, that's our way out, and you're not going to do it. But guess what? Things only progressively get worse. So if you're worried about it now, oh, I can't do this because, if you do nothing about it, it's only going to get worse. So where are you going to be in 3 months, in 6 months, a year from now? You're going to be bedridden? So do something about it now, because you and I both see a lot of people who allow these excuses to monopolize their efforts to where they're doing nothing. And then what happens a year later when they're really in a bad spot? They go, I need to take action.
Yeah.
I need to do something. Well, at that point, your body is in such a rough spot that it's a much bigger hill to climb. So don't wait until you're in that emergency situation where you have to take action, because the chances that you can kind of get to the top are going to take longer and it may not happen. So start now. Whenever we have these setbacks, especially when it comes to health, fitness, and activity level, that is a trigger warning to say, do something about it now, or you're going to pay for it later. So it's going to come at you. You can't avoid it. We can't avoid aging, but we can choose to position ourselves in a way that we can have the easiest life. We can have the best range of motion, the ability to move and function with as little pain as possible. So do something about it now. If you're allowing those excuses, especially if you're, say, 40, 50, really? Come on. It's going to get worse. And the more inactive you are, your body's going to pay for it. You're going to start breaking bones. You're going to end up bedridden in a hospital using a wheelchair, a walker. That is not a fun life that anyone wants ever in their future.
Oh, absolutely. You know, I look back at what could not do when I was younger. Like when I was 40, I couldn't do a push up all the way to the floor. I couldn't do that even like a couple of years ago. And then I decided I'm going to master this. And so now I do it. And like, oh, I got one more than I did yesterday. So every single day. And before we went on the call, I did some push ups. It is so easy to just, wherever you're at, I will just get up from I have a standing desk, I have a treadmill desk, so I'm moving, but also these little exercise snacks throughout the day. And I take ballet class, and one of the things that talking about like simple things like the releve, so you're just on one, you just up and down and see, and how many can you do? But it is so, you don't need a fancy piece of equipment to do that. You don't need a personal trainer. You just hold on if you and just jump, you know, how many times, and then jumping as well. So that's wonderful for bone health. But I'm in a class where there are older people, and they say, "Oh, I can't jump." They're so afraid of jumping, and I said, "Come on, let's do it." Like, I want to do jumps in class. It's one of my favorite parts. It feels so good to jump.
Yes, and see, that's the thing. It's the ability to just lock in and choose that you want to try. Now, always, I recommend, you know, you look at, say, a pro athlete, or you see somebody who's jumping around. Well,
Yeah.
they didn't just start there. So
Right.
I want people to be realistic and ease yourself into it. Because the worst thing that I see clients do is they get excited and they're motivated to change and be active and get healthy, and they go 0 to 60. And it's like, oh no, and now they have a setback because maybe they're so sore or they've injured themselves, unfortunately. My injuries come because I'm in an extreme sport. I'm doing backflips and crazy break dancing and so that is what has resulted in a lot of my injuries, because it's kind of a daredevil sport and you're working at the top of your game. You got to take those risks. However, in everything else, I have to remind myself, just like I talk to my clients and say, hey, give yourself some grace when you're trying something new. Don't go full-fledged ahead, because you've got to pace yourself. Someone wants to run a marathon, they won't go into a marathon race without some training, or they shouldn't. So it's like, think about what it's going to take to get to your goal. And of course, that's where this is what I love to do with Unstoppable 365. This is the business where we do coaching on mindset, fitness, nutrition. We have the medical side, doctors, dietitians. We actually advise through sound principles on how to get you to your goal and provide a path to get you there in the safest, most expedited way.
I love that. I want to get back to something that you said in terms of you had an injury, but you found workarounds, and that really resonated. So I had broken my foot, it was a little over a year ago, and my first thought was, "Oh no, this is awful! I have to be in a boot for 8 weeks. I'm going to lose all this muscle mass. I'm not going to be working out." And then I completely turned it around by thinking, "Well, what can I do?" Well, I've
Yeah.
got an upper body. So I was doing bench presses and I was doing pull downs and all the stuff and core work like crazy, and as well as like single leg squats. Oh, I could just
Yeah.
keep the foot that's broken elevated in with the boot. I had Googled, exercises you could do, strength training wearing a boot. And so was still able to keep that up and did not lose muscle mass, and went back to my old routine quickly. So but it was mindset as well to think like, well, okay, I can work more on my book. I can take more time if I am in a seated position more, then, well, how can I take advantage of that? So it is that mindset. And you said something when I first heard you speak. So Whitney and I are both in a group called Genius Network, and you had talked and you gave a talk about the sense that when something is happening, when you are feeling stress, you acknowledge that you say, "I'm so glad this is happening to me because it means that there's nothing else more significant." If there was something really horrible, terrible, then
Yeah.
this would be I wouldn't even, be thinking about it. And I love
Yes.
that philosophy, and I've always maintained that.
Yes. And it's a matter of having gratitude, right?
Yes.
Because nobody goes through days in their life free of stress or drama. I mean, if they do, it's because they choose to not allow themselves to be brought down. So again, there's a lot that people pile on their plates that they control, and they make their life chaos, or they bring on drama. But the reality is, life is going to hand you a ton of lemons. It's going to throw curveballs like crazy. So you have to be able to put that into perspective and to flip the switch and go, okay, whatever this setback is, there's always a silver lining, always. So again, you could be in the most stressed out situation of your life, but you know what? It could be worse. And if this is the bad, focus on how much worse it could be. Sometimes looking at a worst case scenario for me, even though I am always trying to be positive, it's because I allow myself to remember or think back to times that were really rough. And I'm
Yes.
grateful it's never that bad. And, it also switches to, I have this philosophy and motto that you've probably heard me talk about a ton, the H2G2. I don't have to, I get to.
Yes.
So it all goes back to erasing the victim mentality. So again, H2G2 is, no matter what in life, our verbiage and the voice in our head and the language in our head is always focused on, oh, I have to go pick up my child from football practice right now. I have to go to the grocery store. I have to get on this call. Nope. Flip it around. have some gratitude, be
Yeah.
grateful
Yeah.
for what you have, because the have to makes it seem like this is something that is just you are being forced to do. We get to choose. Do we want to have a job? Yeah, I want to pay my bills. I don't want to be homeless. So I get on my meetings on Zoom with my team. I'm so fortunate that I have kids and children and that they're active and healthy and can play sports. I get to go pick them up. So you reframe and flip the negative connotation in your head into a positive, and it totally changes the outlook on your day. It changes the way you feel. So it goes back to the same thing of victim mentality. And nobody likes that. Nobody likes the people that are surrounding them that have the pity party. And you ask, how's your day? Oh, how are you? And their response is, well, and it kind of brings you down. So sometimes people avoid it in general and don't want to ask, or they start distancing themselves from people who are in that mind space. So to your point of, with your injury, you've said, okay, well, I have a boot I can't do. But what did you instantly do? You said, I'm not focusing on the negative side of it. I'm not focusing on what I can't do, because there's still plenty
Right.
that you can do physically, as well as,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, like you said, I'm focusing on my book.
Yeah.
I truly feel like some of my setbacks were God's way of saying, Whitney,
Yeah.
sit down, take a minute, and stop trying to be active, stop trying to do so much. I'm going to sit you down and make you and force you to be still for a minute, so you focus on the things that maybe you don't prioritize, and you take a look at it and go, I really enjoy, doing XYZ. That brings me happiness. But until you're forced to really go that direction, sometimes you don't.
Yeah.
But it's all the ability on what your perspective and outlook is, and being able to flip it into a positive, I guarantee you, makes you happier. It has a ripple effect between those around you and kind of the effect it has. And you're more productive, you're more ambitious, your drive is stronger. So focus on the things that you can do. Focus on the things that you get to do.
This is so profound, and this is something that we teach at FMCA. It's part of this positive psychology, orientation, building resilience, and so I could say, I get to have a broken fifth metatarsal in my foot because I'm alive, and I always think of my dear friend Beth, who passed away about 8 years ago from a very serious glioblastoma, and so I think, wow, I mean, she would have given anything to have a
Yes.
broken foot. And so I am
Yes.
fortunate. I get to have this foot that's broken.
Yeah.
And then you focus on again all the things I can do rather than what I can't. So
Yeah.
in Unstoppable, a lot of your focus, Unstoppable 365, is also, it's not just how you're moving, but it is also what you are using to fuel your body well. And as women, I grew up in the era where it wasn't nobody lifted weights in the weight room.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a no-go zone. That was for the bodybuilders. We didn't even know what any of that stuff was. We did Pilates and yoga. And as I said earlier, I take ballet class. And when I was younger, those were the kinds of things that I considered working out, but also in terms of we were always on a diet. And even now, I spent many years as a vegan, and now I understand and wish I had much sooner come to realize the importance of protein, the
Yeah.
importance of things like creatine. So can you comment on what are some of the things that you see as problematic, particularly women, and as they are in menopause, postmenopause?
Yeah, it's naturally women do not crave protein. And so what do? We kind of avoid it. And you look at men, caveman days, meat, 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 that's kind of naturally their bodies crave it more. And so for women, anytime I have a new client that I'm working with, I ask them, write down what it is you eat all day. And they are maybe, if they're lucky, eating a third of the minimum required protein amounts that are advised for females. So then it's like, okay, we got to up your protein. And they are going, there's no way I can eat that much. And it's only to get them 50%. It's really difficult for women to go, okay, I can take it in. So it is a process to get there, but it's one of the things like building lean muscle mass. So every female wants a toned, cute,
Yes.
lean body, and they want to look shapely and curved, almost like a sculpture, right? You can't do that without protein. You've got to get proper nutrition in, and you do need to have a mix. I'm a firm believer that you have to have a decent mix of proteins, fats, and carbs. Those are your three macronutrients that your body needs. Protein is the massive building block to build lean muscle, not bulky muscle, because muscle on women is also like a, no, I don't want to look like a man. I don't want to be a bodybuilder. Surprise, ladies. It takes a lot to put on muscle like that. You're not going to look like a man. But if you want to look like some of the fit women that you see that you admire or catches your eye, guarantee they're eating protein. So you've got to get in, I always say as a rule of thumb, just as a tip for your audience, if you weigh 115 pounds, focus on getting 115 grams of protein in a day. Now, I can guarantee there's probably some people listening, and this goes for men too, but men need more. And it's a little easier for them to get more in. But if you take in 1 gram of protein per your body weight, I guarantee people gasped and went, there's no way. So, but I'm telling you, if you want to really fuel your body, you need that. That's going to help create that lean muscle mass. Muscle is what speeds up your metabolism, helps you burn the fat, so that when you have your shoulders and you have the shape of your arms and your legs and your stomach with the abs, it's because there's enough lean muscle mass that's helping to burn the fat surrounding your muscle that can get you that lean toned body. So up your protein at the very basic level, because people always say, if you have one tip for women, what is it?
Yeah.
It and men. I hate to say that it's just women, because it's definitely not. It's just easier for men to get protein in because their bodies naturally crave it more than women. Up your protein. That is the most simple thing you can do to create change in your body. It gives you more energy. It fuels your workouts so that you can work harder when you're in the gym or even at home, kind of doing your own workouts. You've got to get the protein in. It's a very crucial element. And you've experienced it yourself to know, wow, it's a game changer.
It is absolutely a game changer night and day. It was critical. And we were at an event together and I loved it. We were eating lunch and you said, I got to go back and get more meat. I got to get more protein. I said, yes, I followed you and got more. And it's just such a hard lesson for women. And I think it is deeply ingrained. I've taught a lot of courses in the psychology of eating, and the gender differences are profound.
Yeah.
I mean, even how restaurants are decorated back in the day. A steakhouse was dark paneled and more masculine, and women would go to these pastel tea houses with cucumber sandwiches. And I've planned many, many lunch and bridal showers in my day. Never would we have served steak, a big plate. So you serve a salad with maybe a few strips of chicken on the on top, and most people would pick out the chicken and just eat the salad. So totally like under eating protein, and it's a real hard lesson. Sometimes I'll be ordering at dinner, I'll order a steak, and I order the 8 ounce. And even my husband said, "Oh, that's a lot of food for you. Like that's a big steak." Like so.
Yeah.
So
And I always tell people, when you're planning your meals, whether you're at home or you're out, focus on your protein first.
yes,
And then, so it's like, okay, what do I want to eat for dinner? First thing you should do is identify the protein. Are you going to have chicken, turkey, fish, steak, ground beef, whatever? Identify that, then bring your sides in. If you're going to have some rice or a salad or, veggies, plan the protein first. As women, we will do the same thing. Oh, I'm going to eat some fruit, and then I'm going to have, a cup of yogurt, and then I'm going to have a banana.
yes,
Ate all carbs, carbs with very little protein, very little fat. Like, focus on getting an adequate source of protein and then fill it in with your carbs, your fats, your veggies, all of those things. And again, every meal should be that way. So if you're trying to get a good amount of protein in for the day, even on your snacks should have some protein. Maybe it's a protein shake or a protein bar or, a little bit of ground turkey with some carrots. I mean, whatever you love, but focus on the protein first. That is always going to be harder to get when you're trying to look at what you should eat throughout the day. And if you have, again, we put people on some macro recommendations. If you need 115 grams of protein, That's not going to be easy to get in if you just have 2 meals. You've got to get it in through some of the
Yes.
snacks and your breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
This is so important, and it's an area where health coaches can be really valuable in helping people to explore where these attitudes came from about under eating protein, and helping them to see the importance of this, because it is critical. I often go out to dinner with people, and couples will split entrees, and then they end up getting like this teeny tiny portion of
Yes.
protein.
Yep.
And so it is something that if people could really see the value of that and associate, and so many people are still stuck in counting calories. And well,
Yeah.
I was talking to a woman at an event, and she said, well, I couldn't because she was in her 70s, and she said, but that would be too many calories and I don't want to gain weight. So
Yeah.
yeah. So,
Yep. And
um,
that's where too, working with someone, I've done this for 20 years. So I've been a fitness coach, trainer,
ah,
designed, I mean, I don't even know, thousands of meal plans for clients, and everyone's different. What works for your body, what works for my body, what works for my neighbor,
sure.
everything's different. But you are silly not to at least take a period of your time to invest in working with someone who can help figure out what is your nutrition algorithm to fuel your body, to look good. We all have different things that work for our bodies. Like my body can tolerate a ton of carbs, not so much fats. Not the good fats, believe it or not. So, the thing is, until you work through that process and do some trial and error with someone who has the knowledge and background, then you're always going to be just kind of throwing darts at the wall trying to figure it out. But if you take the time to figure it, then it's like as you go through life, you can go, all right, I need to rein things back in. Maybe you have a vacation or some big event and you just
Right.
want to tighten up. You know what it is that your body needs. Now, it does change as every so often you got to kind of check back in and go, all right, is my body still responding the same way to proteins, fats, and carbs? But it's the best thing you can do to figure out, how do I fuel myself to feel good, have tons of energy, to have mental clarity, to be able to feel full when eating, specific meals, and which items. Like for me, for example, rice, I could eat cups and cups of rice.
Yeah.
My stomach will still be flat. If I eat 4 ounces of sweet potato, boom.
Mhm.
And I don't have a sensitivity to it. Like I've done food allergy testing. So there's nothing that's saying that my body doesn't like it, but in reality, it doesn't like it. So it's important to kind of go through that trial and error to figure out what is it that my body is
Mhm.
requiring.
Yeah.
And it's a very interesting process, to be honest. And it's knowledge that you have for the rest of your life.
So you could be your own detective, and it's getting
Yeah.
easier with the devices. So I wear a continuous glucose monitor, so I can see, well, that sweet potato might cause a spike, the rice doesn't, but cashews might cause a spike. And
Yep.
so, it is finding that out. It's being your own detective, taking charge of your health. And as we've discussed, and you are a beautiful example of taking charge of your mindset, where your thoughts are going. And I love that. Just have to, I get to. It is so
Yeah.
profound to adopt. So, this has been an incredibly great conversation and so inspiring. Your book is inspiring. And once again, it is When Broken. Where can people get the book? Where can they find you?
So you can find it on Amazon. So Amazon, just type in When Broken, WIN, or you can go to whitneysbook.com. And then for just reaching out, Whitney, my Instagram is probably the easiest. That's where I'm
Okay.
most active. And that's Whitney Jones _ IFBB Pro, or my website is fitwitjones.com.
Well, check it out. Check out her videos and to see how she is absolutely unstoppable, and she's a true winner in so many senses. So this has been great. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thanks so much. Always an honor. And I just love you. So anything I can do that's associated with you is near and dear to my heart. So I appreciate it.
Thank you.